Hello, happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day, coming from the US and other places in the world today, this day that celebrates motherhood in its many forms. And so I wanted to kind of bring in for our collective week ahead card pull, just some special decks and thoughts, and also wanted to share with you this precious artwork that was gifted to me by my little girl today. And it says, "You are beautiful." And I want to impart that message to you as well as we reflect on all of the many forms of motherhood and also for our inner child that may be in need of mothering, that we can come to this place where seeing ourselves through the eyes of a child can be so healing and something that, really starts us on this path where I wanted to share some of the things. I was a big happy poster today in the nooks and crannies, but actually enjoying the day. We have plans this evening. My mother is coming over. My husband is going to make us a beautiful meal. Really looking forward to it. But did want to come on here to pull our cards. We had rain, so there was no baseball. So things were looking up. And in so doing, I had a number of posts here that you can check out either here on the Empowerment Sharecast. So if you are checking this out on the Marco Polo app, you know what we do here. We're going to get into our week ahead card pulls. You'll see that there were some other posts today where I shared a self-care message with some oracle cards, as well as a sampling from some of the work that I've put together through the ancestral and inner child healings that I offer. If you're seeing this on one of my social media spaces, I'm Marissa from Grow in the Flow, and this is a sampling of what we do each week on my free Empowerment Sharecast on the Marco Polo app, a little place tucked away from the noise of social media where I'm able to connect with you a little more intimately. I can offer complimentary card pulls. So for you personally, after we go through the week ahead spread we're going to do here, if you would like a personal card pull for your week, check it out over on Marco Polo. It's free. It's fun. Would love to connect with you there. So wherever you are in the World Wide Web, you will be able to see there on my social media or on Marco Polo that I did share some of these posts earlier today. So if you want to see more about the self-care message and those oracle cards that came forward and the special ancestral healing video, please do check out those places. Now with that, I am offering a very special opportunity for inner child or ancestral healing that I do as a part of my Metatron color healing sessions at a 20% discount in honor of Mother's Day. So if you're interested, please check out those places or simply reach out to me. I would love to connect with you and we can chat. So we're going to dive in now to our week ahead card pulls. We are working with this amazing deck. This is the Odin's Playbook, a Norse tarot tale by Dani'el Norman. Loving every moment. We had so many amazing messages come forward last week for us collectively, and then on our empowerment pack, all the personal readings I did for the month ahead have just been so fun with this added layer of the runes. So once again, we're going to pull a rune stone for our collective messages this week. And then if you would like a personal card pull over on the Empowerment Sharecast, you can reach out in any way that works for you. When I pull your tarot card for this week, I will also be pulling you a rune stone. So I have also brought in a couple of oracle decks to support us this week. We've got the Flower Therapy Oracle back again this week. I'm just feeling all the flowers for May, for spring, and for these energies that we are in celebrating motherhood today. And then with that, I've brought in this amazing inner child oracle deck by Amanda Lynn Aisling. It's gorgeous. And so I thought that would also be a really beautiful way to tap into these energies today. The healing energy sprays you see in the back here are Rose Inner Child and Mother Mary Harbour Light. Again, I talk a little more about those in the posts that I did today with the self-care messages, if you want to check those out as well. Okay, let's dive in. We're going to start with our Flower Therapy card. So we're just going to set the intention here for our week ahead for the collective. What we most need to know here as we step into this week. On the other side of these card pulls, I will then roll into recording on the Sharecast our energetic weather for this week. What's winking at us? Wisteria. Time to decide. Okay, so we'll be tapping into our energetic weather for this week. We'll look at a little bit of the astrology, and then we'll be diving into these messages. So So let's see what's coming in here first before we get into our spread for the week ahead. One flower therapy card. And again, wherever you're finding these messages in divine timing, they are for you. You're always free to take what resonates and leave the rest. Of course, as a collective reading, there's always someone else there to pick it up. But I do love hearing from you about the ways that these cards play out throughout the week and how these energies show up for you. It's amazing just what we're all bringing in collectively. Okay, let's see. What do we have coming in from the flower therapy? Guys, look, it's happening. It's wisteria. Time to decide. I tried to shove it back in, didn't I? It says, make a decision now so you can move forward. It's decision time. Okay, Wisteria, we will tap in and see what that message is coming through for us. All right. So we've got our flower therapy coming in with that Wisteria card. And let's get our inner child oracle up here as well before we get into our 5-card spread. Again, just setting the intention with this message of you are beautiful and connecting in with the eyes of a child and seeing ourselves with more gentleness, more compassion, and most importantly, worthiness and preciousness. You know, this notion that when, especially, you know, for me feeling so blessed to have received these homemade gifts and these thoughtful ways that children think to pamper you or spoil you or in some way just feeling so gifted by how simple it is and just how they see you. And may we bring that in as we remember and bring forward those things for our learning, growing, healing, and expansion at this time, just what our inner child may have to offer us and how we can help in integrating that for them. So let's see what's coming forward for this week. All right. Yeah, you are worthy. You are worthy. You are worth it all, my love. Wow. Isn't that amazing? That's beautiful. Okay. I will share again my inner child message from my Nature Speaks Oracle cards. They're affirmation cards. They're a work in progress for many years now in divine timing as the inspiration strikes. But inner child is one of the first cards that I did. So it's so perfect. So we'll talk about that when we break out into our messages. Let's get our 5 cards out here and get it going. So once again, we consult Odin for this week ahead. Monday kind of kicks us off for the week, gives us a little setting of the tone. Last week we had that beautiful Queen of Wands coming in. And so let's see what we have coming in this week. Okay. It's the 7 of Axes, the 7 of Swords. Okay, so we have a little bit of things coming into our awareness here in terms of some of that sneaky energy that can be a little bit of that self-sabotage or a sense of needing for protection and awareness. So we'll feel into that. Get these righted so that Tuesday can bring in for us a potential blocker challenge this week. What do we need to know about a potential blocker challenge? Tuesday's energy. 5 of Staves. Okay, so now again, a little bit of this 5 of Wands, 5 of Staves is bringing in 7 of Swords, 5 of Wands. You know, this is my stirring the poop card. So there's this notion of things that are kind of getting stirred around in a lower vibrational way, potentially, that we have an opportunity to make a decision and really decide where we're going to put our energy and how long we're going to continue to stir that around. So that'll be very interesting to look at in terms of a potential blocker challenge this week. So now Wednesday is our midweek blessing, a midweek blessing for us this week. Trying to think, today's the 12th as I record this on Sunday. So we're moving through this week. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 takes us to Friday. So what's coming in for the midweek as a blessing? The Death card. Here is this open the door energy again, this portal, this energy of doors that are opening, of crossing over. So, wow, yeah, we are in transition, transformation, change is assured. This is metamorphosis energy. This is shedding those skins of the soul and these layers in order to reveal the next phoenix rising. My goodness, how gorgeous is this card? Yeah. All right, guys, that's amazing. Death as a blessing, rebirth, renewal on the other side. Thursday, how we are growing. How are we growing this week through all of it? How are we growing? The World. Beautiful. So this is card 21 of the major arcana. Now you'll see, and I'll point this out as we go, the runes that are on these cards that are bringing in added layers of messages. And then again, if you choose to have a personal card pull, what rune comes up for you? And if it's one that is featured on these cards, it's a little underscore for you. It's a little highlight as to that being something particularly of mention for you. But the world is beautiful. We're coming full circle of coming into completion, chapters closing, seasons ending, and new ones just beginning on the other side and moving through it all. It's so beautiful how it's depicted here with each of the seasons and all of this growth. Beautiful. All right, how we're growing for sure. Finally, Friday, we're going to look at just wrapping up the week here. Final card from Odin to see about our collective energy this week. What is coming up? I don't know where I'm at for Instagram. I may have already gone over, but again, we are going to be picking up with the intuitive messages for all of these cards over on the Empowerment Sharecast. It's a free space on the Marco Polo app where you and I can connect and enjoy tarot and oracle card musings, other spiritual tools, and all kinds of goodies. So please join me there. Check it out. All right. 3 of Swords, 3 of Axes. So there's definitely a lot of emotion that we're moving through here, a lot of the feels. But again, it may very well be, it's like, to me, this is just hitting the mark. It's hitting this target as far as these things that we have an opportunity to move through, to clear, to cycle out these seasons, these chapters, and the things that can bring in a lot of different emotions that serve, because we can have those emotions, energy in motion to move us, right? And it's funny, I'm reminded I have another picture from my daughter off to the side. I'm going to show this to you, and then we're going to close this one out. So she made this, and it says, "You make my energy." This was her message to me. And, I like to ask the artist to sort of give me their interpretation of, what their vision was here, lest I try to assume that I know what I'm looking at and may offend. This was a person that she started to make, but then it sort of turned into, she wanted to put the googly eyes up here, but they ended up here. And then, of course, this message. So I just love the symbolism of, again, how beautifully intuitive our children are, and how just allowing these simple things, that word just reminded me to say to you, energy in motion, emotions, and all of these feels, and the way that it matters so much about the space and grace that we allow for children, including our inner children, to move those emotions, right? And to allow that to flow and not to hold it, not to hide it. So I feel like this is definitely something that's coming in this week for us to take a look at. In addition to the energetic weather that we'll be moving through, that's what we'll be getting into next. So stay tuned. Now, I'm going to be doing these as much as I can today, Sunday. Like I said, I will be spending time with my family for the rest of the evening. So if I am not able to get through all of our week ahead messages here on Sunday, I will be picking it up in the Sharecast tomorrow. So thank you all so much for being here. Once again, if you would like a personal card pull for the week ahead, feel free to let me know. Lots of love, many blessings. Let's get into these messages. All right, here we go. Our energetic weather this week. What's coming through? I just have a couple of things I'm going to touch on, namely, starting with this beginning of this week, May 13th, we can officially say that Mercury has left its shadow phase. So Mercury, of course, stationed direct on April 25th, but that post shadow that we moved through is now officially complete. And so with Mercury now nice and strong and moving direct in our cosmic skies, we can feel confident about those things like signing contracts, making long-term plans, creating commitments, all of those types of things. And I'm going to add too about communication. You know, a lot of times Mercury, the planet of communication, we can kind of be challenged, to say the least, tripping over our words, you know, feeling like we're literally speaking another language when it comes to, communicating with others. That has all cleared and beautifully in time for this next transit to mention, which is this week on May 15th, Mercury moving into Taurus. So Mercury, that planet of communication, is moving into the earth sign of Taurus. And when there, Mercury can guide us to be intentional with how we communicate. So this means we could be feeling the need to slow down, to be more deliberate with our messaging. This could be a good time for you to start a journal or even to write your thoughts down on paper. How perfect. The self-care card that I shared today was writing in a journal. I confess, I have had an on-again, off-again relationship with journaling throughout my life. Most recently, I use the notepad in my phone. However, did you know, Marco Polo fun fact for you, a little pointer for you, being that you're here, other than tuning in here on the Sharecast, if you use Marco Polo to communicate with other people, or if you and I communicate privately on a Polo, it is an amazing way to communicate and to connect. However, you can also create a private Polo. I've heard this phrase used, which I thought was so clever, solo polo. And I think it's used in the context of a one-on-one polo, but I like it to say you can create a solo polo with just you. So when you are on your main menu of Marco Polo and you can choose to come in here to the Sharecast or any other video chat conversation you have going on, you can start a new one and just choose yourself. And that is a private place where you can just come on and say whatever you need to say, like a journal, but it's a video journal, or you can also just do a voice memo or any other way to really kind of tap in creatively and in a way that sort of is instantaneous, on the go, driving in the car, or just a, flow of consciousness coming out and washing the dishes, whatever you're doing. You can also do it that way, so communicating and practicing communicating. I can tell you the only reason that I do what I do, the only reason I can stand to see my face on camera is because of my solo poloing, because of Marco Polo, which I did for a solid year, 2 years almost, before taking the plunge to putting myself out there. So again, it's just something that's coming through for me about communication, and maybe some practical ways that you could get your thoughts down, if not written, old-fashioned handwritten journaling, which is beautiful. You can do electronic journaling, typing on the phone, on the go, but also voice memo or Marco Polo would be another way. So I'm just feeling that coming in as a message from this messenger planet about this opportunity for communication. And this reminder that speaking nourishing words to yourself and others is always powerful. Those of you who are with me for the Empowerment Pack this month know that our spirit animal that came up for this month is parrot spirit. And parrot spirit is all about the words that you say to yourself, aloud, silently, and how that reverberates out to the words that you use with others, and how it matters, the words we choose. So here is a beautiful validation of that message having come in when I tapped into the energies this month here ahead of May. And now as we go just about to the midpoint here on May 15th, we are reminded about how important it is to speak those nourishing words to yourself and others. And so with Mercury in Taurus, we could feel extra rejuvenated by that practice. So just something simple to have some kind words to say to yourself and others this week would be a great way to start. The last mention I have here is something happening across May 16th through 18th, the sun in 𝓘𝓚. And 𝓘𝓚 is one of the most notorious stars in astrology. However, its reputation is largely misguided. 𝓘𝓚 represents the power we obtain after moving through different states or chapters of our lives. How perfect we have the World card on the altar this week and the Death card. Both of them very much so about the closing of one chapter, the opening of another. We'll get into that in the messages. 𝓘𝓚 is closely linked to the myth of Medusa. And Medusa started out as an oracle goddess, but eventually was turned into a gorgon with the head of snakes. And through this transformation, however, she only became stronger. How amazing that we have that death card here for our midweek blessing with the snakes featured as that powerful reminder of only becoming stronger through that process of shedding those skins. This is the essence of 𝓘𝓚. It teaches us to find our strength and power no matter the transformations that have found us. And to that I say, not just no matter, but in spite of, but because of as well. So as a result, as a direct result of the transformations that have found us, comes some of the most beautiful growth, expansion, and transformation. So just noting that this week to tune into that energy, and really it couldn't be more perfect. It's literally coming up here for this week's two major arcana cards on the altar, Death and the World. So let's get to it. We're going to dive in now and start with our flower therapy message. Okay, bringing in a message from the Flower Kingdom today. And if you were watching the card polls, you know that this card popped out. I said it. It was wisteria, time to decide, shoved it back in, shuffled it up, and guess what? It's back. And it's funny because I remember, it's a beautiful flower. When we moved into our first house, we saw these beautiful purple flowers, like all lining the back of the yard. Well, the yard was incredibly overgrown, and there was all these trees and tall bushes that were just covered in these flowers, and we had no idea that wisteria is actually considered like a weed, like a pest, like a, it takes over. And this wisteria vine was so hardy, it had taken over the whole, along all the properties of our new home and where we were moving in, which, when it's in bloom, it's lovely, but when not so much. So it's just funny because whenever I see wisteria, I remember that vision of like, oh, what are those purple flowers that are poking out of every single tree and bush in the yard? But it was quite a process to wrangle that and get that under control. But here we talk about wisteria with this message of time to decide. Make a decision now so you can move forward. So the message coming in here from the flowers this week is saying you're being guided to a decision now. If you remember last week, our potential blocker challenge was the Two of Axes, the Two of Swords, this idea that we were at a crossroads and it was challenging to decide which way to go, or that we were having trouble seeing pathways that were available. So interesting that this is being highlighted for us now about it truly being time to decide. There's a situation in your life where through fear of making an incorrect choice, you've neglected to make any decision at all. This is preventing you from evolving and from learning the next steps in your life's journey. Solidifying your resolve now allows you to grow. You can release procrastination and get past this ego manifestation. You can never make a wrong choice as all paths lead to the same result. It's more a matter of how quickly you arrive at your desired destination. The choice you feel more secure with is the right one. A path that leads to greater happiness, joy, comfort, and support is where you're being guided. Let go of fear and move forward. It's time for a change. You are being guided to move forward. So also last week, remember we had the Queen of the Moon Oracle card for the new moon in Taurus of growth with this mantra, I choose growth. Be courageous and you will blossom. Well, we talked about the simplicity in the notion that when you make a choice to grow, I choose growth. Then using that as your platform for every other choice you make, so that when you are faced with an option or something that's coming up for decision, does this thing, person, event, activity, whatever it is, support my growth? Yes or no, right? We talked about that. And so, and again, this isn't an absolute formula. Sometimes we do things for no good reason at all, just because we choose to, because it makes us happy, because it brings us joy, and it may have nothing to do with the areas in which we want to grow. But I'm talking about getting caught up in the weeds. I'm talking about how something really beautiful, like this wisteria flower, can actually choke out growth, stifle growth, because it is something that's like a temptation energy, a comfort zone energy, an easy button energy. I've talked about that before with just pushing the easy button, this idea of taking the path of least resistance. And that's not always the path. One of the things this message said that I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. The one that makes you feel secure is the right decision. I don't know. Sometimes something makes us feel more secure because it's safe, it's not risky, or it's familiar, it's comfort zone, and maybe that's not the right choice for us. So there's a discernment that's called for as well. But we have this message to really think about, and it's interesting, this wisteria is going to roll into our Monday card, because not everything that looks beautiful on the outside, not everything that's tempting or familiar and comfortable is the right choice. So we'll talk more about that when we get to Monday, but let's bring in this beautiful Inner Child Oracle card, and then we'll dive into our week ahead tarot messages. All right, so we chose from this beautiful Inner Child Oracle deck a card this week to set us off into the week ahead in honor of Mother's Day and celebrating motherhood in all its forms, but also the inner child, and the messages that I brought through during the card pull, which I really feel it was so synchronistic that this card came up right after those words of worthiness left my lips, and the fact that I have this inner child Nature Speaks affirmation card from my little pet project that I'm working on that is the flower that I had photographed that inspired my own words for inner child. So I'll be sharing those with you as well, but I wanted to dive in here to the messages of this beautiful card. You are worthy. You are worth it all, my love, as card 40 from the Inner Child Oracle is bringing forward. So the message here is everyone longs to be worthy. We work hard to find this worth in many different places, in accomplishments, in titles, in the eyes of another. But at the end of the day, all we truly have is the worth that we attribute to ourselves. This is not to diminish the beautiful gifts that can be ours through our actions and relationships, but to say that if we do not find ourselves worthy first, we will continue to search for it elsewhere and never find satisfaction. This is perfect. This is perfect for Taurus season. This is perfect for these messages that have been coming through around our self-nourishment. And as we are adding to that this week, these thoughts about our nourishing words to ourselves and others, and this now being underscored for the third time, journaling notion, because Amanda Lynn Aisling includes here with these beautiful cards an acceptance exercise to go with this card. And the exercise is about journaling your responses to the word worthy. What do you feel when you hear the word? Is there anything you feel that you are not worthy of? What do you seek outside of yourself to make yourself feel worthy? Is there anything you feel like you are worthy of? Is there something that your inner child might need to hear about their worth? What are some of the statements you might have wished to hear as a child about your worth? Write down 5 to 10 key statements of your worth. These statements should touch your heart and fill you up with feelings of warmth and light when you speak them aloud. Now that you have these statements of worth, it is time to practice speaking the words to yourself. Using a mirror or Marco Polo, as I mentioned, you can do this exercise. Look deep into your eyes, cup the side of your face, and proceed to give yourself what your heart is longing to hear. Practice speaking these statements of worth to yourself and to your inner child as many times as you can during the following weeks. So, really beautiful message and suggested exercises that you can do as it resonates for you, and certainly adapt in ways that work for you. But just the synchronicity here of all of these messages coming forward together. Earlier today, when I shared my messages for today with the self-care cards and the words from my inner child card, I want to share those with you now. It's just so aligned with what's coming forward here. So that giant card of inner child you see next to it is because I made a note card out of my nature photography. And on the other side of that note card are the words that go with inner child. Let your inner child be held in the soft, loving embrace of compassion. Let your inner child be healed. Let your inner child know that they are safe and supported. Yesterday, today, and always. Look upon yourself now with the worthiness of your inner child. Held, healed, safe, and supported, you are worthy. Always. So that's the message of my inner child affirmation card to go with this beautiful card of you are worthy. Again, I will share at the end here the special that I have going on right now in honor of Mother's Day, a 20% discount on my inner child and ancestral healings. Those are two different focused type sessions where we can focus on a guided meditation, card spread, and then the chakra work that we do, the energy work for the inner child or for ancestral healing. Both are equally as beautiful and profound, but just wanted to let you know here again that this is all so aligned with the special offer that I have going on for that. If you are interested or would like to know more, please do reach out. All right, let's get into our week ahead messages. All right, we are kicking off the week ahead, starting with our Monday card. But as I come in, I realize I forgot to pull the rune stone. So we're going to do that now, just so we know what rune we're working with, in addition to the runes that are on the cards as we go. And I think every single card we have here has got at least one rune. So we're going to reach into this rune stone bag to see which rune is coming forward for us collectively this week. And again, if you would like a personal card pull, I will be pulling a rune stone for you too, in addition to that card. Okay. Ooh, what do we got here? So we are bringing in Isa, I think it is Isa. I'm starting to learn them slowly. I butcher pronunciation mercilessly. I'm so sorry. But like I said, Dani'el has a beautiful guide in here with Odin's Playbook, a little card that comes with the deck that goes through all of the runes as a key and some key words. So we see here for this one that it is ice, frozen, balance, and frustrations. I'm going to share here the message for this rune, the more comprehensive message that is in here, where it also tells me the pronunciation, Isa. I didn't get it. It's Isa. Okay, this one. It's spelled I-S-A, by the way, pronounced Isa. The rune of ice, water in its most mightiest of forms. Caution is warranted. Walk slowly forward. What in your life is frozen? Sometimes you need to freeze before you can grow. If you are feeling emotional, find stillness and clarity to see. I like that this just came up here because we're jumping in for our week ahead with the card that came forward as the Seven of Axes. So the Seven of Axes is the Seven of Swords, traditionally in the tarot. And I just want to make sure everybody sees what's going on here before I park this. We see him under this bridge, sort of looking off to the side with a collection of axes. And somebody is up there looking around to see the whereabouts of said axes. So, traditionally the Seven of Swords is that card of betrayal, of somebody shirking off with all the swords. In some way there can be like a theft that's occurring. There's a taking. Now, swords, axes represent the air element. They represent our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs, things that are going on in the crown. But yes, they can speak to being aware of someone or something in our midst that isn't what they seem, or there being this sort of sleight of hand energy that comes in. But one of the ways I typically interpret this card is often about a degree of our own self-sabotage. I've shared before about this card that I had this phrase about, don't let anyone steal your joy, not even your sneaky self. So an aspect of yourself that's making off with those swords. What are those swords? Those are our thoughts. They are our ideas about ourself or our abilities or our potential, or maybe what we believe other people think. Perfect. You are beautiful, right? If you didn't see the card pull, what we're seeing here is an absolute masterpiece from my little girl that she made for me today for Mother's Day. It's a portrait of me. And again, I was talking in the card pull about seeing ourselves through the eyes of a child. But, we have this messaging coming up this week about the ways in which we speak to ourselves, what's going on, the mental chatter, as well as what we are speaking aloud. And then in turn, how we are speaking and communicating with others. What do we say about ourselves? And this is really important, especially when we talk about in front of children, when we talk about the ways that we look at ourselves and we speak about ourselves as an example for children about how they may learn to look at themselves, or what they may start to believe about themselves, or, what we tell people about how we are to be treated. These are all things that are connecting in with our communication and the ways in which there's these sneaky ways that those lower vibrational thoughts actually take from us our joy, take us from being in that higher vibrational state of joy and into a place that is self-sabotage, that has us spinning our wheels, that has us frozen with indecision, frozen with an inability to expand and move forward. So, really feeling very connected here with this rune coming up divinely timed with this card. I'm glad I forgot. Isa comes in with this, restoring of balance to something that has been taken, or something that is, not serving, that we have an opportunity to seek out, flush out. So let's take a look and just see real quick what Odin has to say about this Seven of Axes. It is very important to be truthful and honest. The truth will always rise up and be exposed, no matter what point in time it reveals itself. It is important to communicate the truth in all situations, regardless of how it makes others feel. What are you trying to hide? Lying, deceit, and betrayal have an energy to it that does not make sense to people. Use your gut instinct as your guide in situations that do not make sense to you. If something does not feel right to you, then it probably is not. This card may also be telling you that you have to take matters into your own hands and go at it alone. Be mindful of what you are doing and how you are doing it. There are eyes everywhere. So again, being conscientious of our words, our thoughts, our deeds, all of those things, and the orchestra of how all those things come together and work together and can flow together, that when there is something that is stuck, frozen, indecision, or in some way taking from, that creates this disharmony. And so there's this opportunity for us to restore harmony through our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. So being extra mindful of that this week. Let's let that be the tone that we're setting here for how we are moving through this week for our betterment, right? And flowing through whatever comes our way. So let's go ahead now and pull up Tuesday for that potential block or challenge. Okay, Tuesday brings in the potential block or challenge this week as the Five of Staves. So the Five of Staves, or Five of Wands, is the card that I lovingly refer to as the stirring the poop card. It speaks to this energy of some type of turmoil or persistence in, usually lower vibrational energies. It can bring some competitive energy, some sort of, a lot of times this can represent people who are competing or kind of scrambling to be at the top or to emerge the victor or to be right or to be seen in some way that may have be of a lower vibrational variety and may also be kind of a futile use of energy. And so in this time where we're really being moved to contemplate, what do we value, what's important to us, and what are we investing our time and energy in, this can be a challenge because we may find ourselves expending our energy in ways that really are not serving us, not serving others. So the 5 of staves comes in here. Now, it looks like the rune that's going to go with this one is 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, and that's the one that came up last week, I think, in the new moon card pull for the empowerment pack. So some of us did see this one, and we're talking about the energies that it does bring forward, which 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓴 is the rune of Thor, the rune of disruption and protection. And it asks that we be on guard for, we may be about to face a challenge or trauma of some sort, that there may be a blockage that you cannot yet see, but will show itself in due time. Gather your defenses so that you are ready. No matter how painful situations can be, you must deal with them. So it's interesting that, the 7 of axes and the 5 of staves, they're both kind of carrying this message of being wary, being aware, not in terms of fear, but be aware, have an awareness. That's why we're doing this. We tap into our energies so that we can, check in with the current energy, see how that's feeling, having an awareness with some insight and guidance into the week ahead so that we can step into it empowered with our free will as to how we wish to experience those things. So, the 5 of staves here is talking about going through and experiencing a time of transition and awakening. Yes, 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 right? That's all we've been saying. That's what we're about to talk about for the rest of the week as well. So perfect in its recognition of that fact. We are going through a time of transition and awakening. And as a result, inner turmoil that comes up through the transformation and change and the chaos and the confusion and the unsettled nature of sometimes being in transition and how that can come up for us, that inner turmoil has put you in a position of conflicting ideas and situations. You may feel trapped by the conflict and fighting that surrounds you as well as within you. You are feeling the energy of anxiety and confusion that may or may not be about you. Before proceeding, ask, this is important, and this is really, really on point. Who does this energy belong to? Your world feels like it has turned upside down, but really, the world has placed you exactly where you need to be, where your eyes will be forced open wide and your ears will be made to listen. If you can no longer take the overwhelming feelings that go along with the heavy energy, remove yourself for a timeout or altogether. Pay close attention. See things from another perspective for greater understanding. This has, for me, a very collective message, a very macrocosm world stage message. The things that we are seeing play out on the big stages in our world are a reflection of the inner turmoils within us, in our microcosms, in our inner world. This is a message that I've shared many times over, but recently this has come up, and in all the messaging and all the places, I know for sure that I talked about this with some of the empowerment pack readings, but so if this sounds familiar or we're hearing it for the first time, it's really important to acknowledge that these things, this turmoil, this stirring of the poop that we see going on, even if it's not directly attached to us, it's something that's going on over there, right? Elsewhere in the world, a couple blocks over, the next town, somewhere that's other than right here. We're being pulled back into this opportunity to see the connectedness of all things and to understand that it is playing out for our betterment, for an opportunity for us to glean from that awarenesses and new perspectives. And this is really what we're talking about, is this opportunity for us to shift perspective, to be open to the idea of many perspectives, and that they all can have truth. And so if we've been very head down in the mud, slinging it around and sort of banging our own drum over and over and over and over again from an old belief system or from something that's very fixed and rigid, there is this opportunity now in this time of change and transformation to open up and to allow ourselves to be able to see exactly why this is coming up. Who does this energy belong to? Is this even mine, right? And if I'm picking up on that anxiety and confusion, and it's sort of, bringing me down to a place of either my own inability to decide, to move forward, frozen, then, there is a message in there for me. And there's this seeking out of that wisdom in the midst of all the poo, right? And so this is something that for sure I talked about in the Empowerment Pack reading for the new moon last week, because we talked about Taurus and the bull and all the energies coming up, and this notion of manure, this idea that the manure actually serves. So the poo being that fertile ground for the flowers, right? And blooming through the poo. So, having fun with it, but also big messages here about the things that we are seeing at odds and the conflicts in our life, and the notion that if we just continue to keep stirring it around the same old, we're just going to keep getting more and more of the same. So there is an opportunity where it is time to decide, to make a decision now, to move forward in a new way. And in what way is this old way of being stealing our joy, keeping us small, keeping us at odds with each other, keeping us seeing that these differences rather than the sameness that we all have together. So there's these are big messages, but these are times that call for that. So I think this is really key. And again, this is a minor card, so I don't mean to whip this up into a, frothy manure pile. I'm saying that allow this to inform us, allow this to bring to the front of our awareness these conflicts that we see, this turmoil that we see outside of us, being a reflection of inner turmoil, of pockets of what is unresolved within us or within these smaller places that we have an opportunity to learn through, to shift and change, to make a new choice, to move in a different direction. So let's go ahead and keep going. But I think this is really powerful to the extent that you feel yourself this week in any kind of conflict or stirring around or anything that feels like a lower vibrational, futile use of your energy. You're being called to call that out, to step back, that you empower yourself with what you're going to give your energy and what you're not. All right, let's go ahead and roll into Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is bringing in our midweek blessing with the beautiful depiction here of Major Arcana card 13, the Death card. And this is where we're seeing these doors that open to transformation and change, of rebirth, of metamorphosis, coming through the stripping away, picking clean to the bone, shedding the skins of our soul, as we see depicted here through the snakes, the skeletal energies, and we even see the moths and butterfly up here in terms of transformation and change, metamorphosis. And the rune that we see down here is Aiwaz. This is the rune of the poisonous yew tree, and it's associated with death and superstitions, a reminder that death is a natural part of life and not apart from it. You have the ability to experience altered realities and travel in and out of higher dimensional realms. Meditation and trance work would be beneficial to you at this time. So those are messages that are carried with the rune Aiwaz, which is associated with death, because of this notion of the poisonous tree and the death as a metaphor, right? The death card is not really ever about actual death in terms of, end of life, but rather the death of the ending of the closing of one chapter to another, to one way of being into another, right? So we have this beautiful depiction of it here as our midweek blessing. So with that door cracking open and seeing that light on the other side, this card talks about transformation happening in your life. Everything that no longer serves you is falling away. Life is happening for you, not at you. One of my favorites. Pain and fear is an illusion. Let go of the need to control and to hang on to the past. A fresh new start is awaiting you. The longer that you stay in a negative mindset, the harder it will be to move ahead. Let go and move into the unknown. The gods are with you on this journey and would never take you anywhere that was not good for your soul. Accept what is happening. When one door closes, another opens. Embrace this way of life. The door to Valhalla is an exciting place to journey to. Do not take your life for granted. So there's also a notion of counting blessings, of midweek blessing, right? Of this opportunity for us to see the ways in which we are truly blessed in all things, and that there is a gift in everything, even if it is packaged in a way that is less than impressive, right? So not to turn away, not to resist change that is inevitable, right? The more that we resist the change, the transformation, the growth, the tighter that skin is going to feel, the more restrictive it will feel. So walk forward with courage and deep inner strength into the greater dimensions you go, letting go of everything that is heavy. Do not travel backwards. Cleanse your thought process. Oh, listen to that. There we go again. Cleanse your thought process and realign with your inner self. More about those words that we say to ourselves, more about the ways that we communicate to ourselves. May it be nourishing. May it be life-giving, right? And so, again, is this thing, this word, this thought, this belief supporting me in growing or not? And having that be something that helps to move us forward. Okay, time for a shameless movie reference. Never Ending Story. This card is giving me the sphinxes. Remember the oracles or the sphinxes that in order for, Atreyu to cross over, in order to get through this archway, he had to be pure in his thoughts because they knew. I'm talking about, if you're familiar, and if you've never seen Never Ending Story, I mean, you're missing out. So this notion of their ability to see right into one's soul and to know if it was pure or not, right? And so their eyes, the creepy laser eyes would be slowly opening. And I'm looking at these two skeletons, okay? I'm sorry, I'm geeking out. And if you're not with me, I apologize, but I'm referencing that notion in the movie of the archetype of being pure in our thoughts and our beliefs and the words in which we speak to ourselves and our abilities, and the grace through which we can experience the death of one aspect or parts of us or a stage of our lives or a way of being that's no longer serving, and how we can allow that to go so that we can cross over to the other side. So Never Ending Story. The story is still being written. We're turning the page and we have this energy coming in. Now, this is all going to start to be building up to a full moon in Sagittarius in 2 weeks on the other end of this month, where it's going to be all about that momentum of adventure and venturing out and this outward expression of all of these things that we are preparing for. So more to come on that, but I'm definitely feeling this is a pivotal message here, pivotal in the middle of this week and pivotal in the middle of this month. Death energy coming in for transformation, change. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Thursday now for how we are growing. Okay, Thursday, we have this gorgeous version of the world. Card 21 of the Major Arcana, the final card of the Fool's Journey. that then, like the ring that we see here, begins again. It is a circle. It is never ending. It's the never ending story, if you will, that we have this energy of these seasons and these times and these chapters that we move through in our lives. And so how we are growing is to, I feel, being in tune with whatever season we are in. And that, of course, can mean the literal seasons as far as adapting to the outer conditions and being in flow with, our activities, the foods we eat, like all of those things that we can align with the seasons, yes, but also different seasons of life, different seasons in versions of us and how we are growing, which is what we're acknowledging here. And we'll take a look here at the two runes that are in the corner. I believe what we have here is 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮 and 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮. So let me take a look. 𝓘𝓷𝓽 is all about wealth, abundance, money, cattle, and gain. So 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮 talks about the rune of abundance and prosperity, the energy of attainment, riches, and luck. Abundance is best in flow. Do not hoard your money or any possessions for that matter. You are being cautioned against greed and using your wealth just for personal gain. So what that's bringing into the mix here is this message of, completion and wholeness as the 21 is this great abundance. And that even when, let's say, using this tree as the example of when it is sparse, when it has lost its leaves, when its leaves have changed color and they're transitioning and they're falling away, it's still serving the greater good of the overall health, wealth, and abundance of this tree, because it's the season that's needed in order to regenerate, to re-energize, to, re-bloom again in due time, in the season when it is to bloom, right? And when it comes into fullness here between spring and summer. So of course you can align this with wherever you are in the world and what seasons you're having. I know, and I say that because just a fun fact for everybody here, I am in the United States and I'm coming from the Northern Hemisphere, so I'm referring to our seasons, but we have people here with us tuning in from the Southern Hemisphere, from Australia, from New Zealand. So, just kind of acknowledging again, things beyond what we can see right outside of our window. When you think back to some of the challenges that can be proposed to say, well, that's not happening here. It's not in my immediate awareness, so it doesn't pertain to me. Actually, we're all part of this one tree, right? And these branches, and from where we all come from this root system below. So I think it's just beautiful, because one of you in the Southern Hemisphere was just saying to me how you're still enjoying, as you are preparing for winter now, that you are you're in fall, and then is subsequently, as we're preparing excitedly for summer here, winter will come. And so even still, you're soaking up these days of mild days and weather that is rather enjoyable, and things that enable you to be out and experiencing in that way. And then in the same way, I presume that, people can find things that they do and enjoy about the winter months in the Northern Hemisphere, same being true for the Southern Hemisphere. And of course, we all have our preferences. But I love the fact that that's pinging for me to share, because we have this energy of oneness that's coming in here with the world. We are the world, right? And this notion again of being all part of this one great tree of life that we are experiencing here as a collective. And that in any given moment, being in alignment with those different seasons and stages and chapters and perspectives. So the other rune that was there was 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮. So let me just tell you that one real quick. 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, the rune of family and inheritance. Honor your ancestors for what they have bestowed upon you as what they created through trial and error, strength, willpower, and success. Be the best you can be, and do not dishonor your ancestors. It is your duty to live this life to the fullest, creating success along the way that can be passed down to new generations. Create wealth to be passed down from one generation to the next. And once again, I am reminded of the sign that is just off to the side here from the altar space that says, The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. Because this was something that came up with that recurring Six of Cups that we had all throughout every single week of the month of April and even into the beginning of this month. Six of Cups with this message of nostalgia, remembering, and through that process, the healing and the rebuilding that we move into in the future, the new story we're writing, the new chapter, the new page we're turning, the new season that's here, right? So beautiful, big messages, but we're growing into it bit by bit. So the World card says here, give yourself a huge hug and smile out into the world. You have just completed a full cycle. Transformation and life lessons have been learned and fully implemented into your life. Here we go again. One door is closing and a new cycle of learning is emerging. Take the time to celebrate your success. Know that whatever you learned and completed in this cycle may come up again as a test in your next cycle. Yeah, we talk about this. I always have it just off to the side because it's one of my favorite symbols, the spiral, the energy of this beautiful ammonite fossil or the nautilus shell coming around again, cycles and seasons that we move through, not our first time, right? And yet each time we come back to that place, each time we come around and that door opens and we see ourselves moving through, we bring with it the knowledge, the wisdom, the awarenesses that we gleaned through having experienced them previously in a different way. So it's giving us another nod to this energy of coming full circle, of, doors closing, new ones opening, stages and places along the way, seasons of life, and really growing into it, being as much in flow and alignment with those things as we can. Right? So this is another spot to mention again, because it's speaking to the ancestors and to legacy, and not just the healing work that we are doing, but another very important aspect of the ancestral healings I do is the notion that we're not just tapping into those ancestral traumas, but also the ancestral strengths and gifts that we carry forward. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree kind of energy, right? That we inherit. And so how we can use those things as the gifts and the tools and all that they are that we can build with. So that's where I want to mention again about this special opportunity. If you would like to connect for the ancestral healing or an inner child healing, this is all sort of bringing through this tree of life energy and this notion of legacy, of reflection from the past, mining those gifts, and then bringing them as seeds we're planting into the future for the future generations as well. All right, let's close it all out now with Friday. All right, our final card for this week, Friday, represents wrapping up the week with some final thoughts here, and they're coming through with the symbol of the Three of Axes, the Three of Swords. And this is a really interesting addition that really, as I was doing the card pull, kind of brought us into emotions, to flow, to water, this notion of the heart chakra. Even though this is a swords card, you can see there's a lot of water in the rain that's teeming down here all around that tree. So thinking about the seasons of life and the stages that we move through, here's one. Oh, and a rather visceral depiction of an anatomical heart that has been pinned to this target with these three axes. Traditionally, this is a card of heartbreak, of loss, of mourning, of a broken heart, and the cleansing, the clearing, the healing that can come through that stage, this time of release. So highlighting for us all the feels. And what we see here, this rune that is on this card is, I'm going to say it right, 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓾. Okay, so 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓾, the rune of water. Remember, the rune that we have over here, 𝓘𝓱𝓲𝓼, is the rune of ice, frozen water, hardened water, right? Contracted water. Here it is in the flow form of liquid water. Water is all around you, within you, and above you. Water is needed to sustain your health and well-being. Water represents the subconscious mind, emotions, and intuition. If you are feeling heavy emotions, let them out by crying. Water, just like your emotions, cannot be controlled, and you must let them flow. You are being asked to trust your intuition and further develop your psychic skills. So this is really beautiful because, again, if you look back over, what we've brought forward collectively this week and moving through the energies of, now we've got 2 axe cards. So we're talking air element there, which again, thoughts, words. Air element, for me, the swords are very connected into communication, the clarity, the cutting through of what we have to say, throat chakra, as well as crown chakra in our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas. So we see that sort of anchoring either side here of the week, planking, on either side we have flanking, Monday, Friday. And so here's that 3 of axes, or 3 of swords, coming in here to the wands, which again was giving us that, fleeting energy of stirring things around and, kind of stewing in things, versus time for us to release and shed and let that go, to cross over to the other side with that death energy, with the doors that are there waiting, right? With that purity of heart, that purity of mind, the sphinxes allowing us to cross through in this new chapter that awaits, this new season that awaits. And so the way forward is through the cleansing and clearing of these old, dense emotions that could be stuck, stagnant, and everything in between. Isa, right? So when we look at the Odin's message here for the 3 of axes, it says you're experiencing a test of your inner faith. The energy around you may not make complete sense to you, creating anguish, frustration, pain, and grief. Keep in mind that this too shall pass, and there is growth at the end of this phase. This is an opportunity to dig deeper into your inner self and learn more about who you are. How can you begin to see the bigger picture? Whatever is happening is happening for you, not to you. Have we heard that already? Yes, we have. Again, even the pain, the heartbreak, the loss, therein lies a gift. Now, that being said, having something, a loss or something that we're grieving, it deserves the reverence of the time and space and respect to move through it. This isn't about glossing over or spiritually bypassing real grief and loss and pain. Yet, we have this opportunity to see the full picture of every season in its totality, of which we know this is just a one in the full spectrum, right, of this process that we are growing through right now. And that in many ways, this season, a season of loss, a season of release, can actually be one of the most profound and most forward moving in the transformation and change, and in the facilitating of the new growth that's coming into our lives. So, if this is something that you're relating to on a personal level and you're really clear on what type of heaviness or lower vibrational energies, emotions, losses, trials, tribulations, all of those things that you could be experiencing at this time, in what way can we use those things and glean from them the wisdom, the awareness, the gift? Wherein lies the gift? And, again, moving us out into that collective stage is that the more of us who allow ourselves to feel our feelings and to let it flow. I just had this conversation with my oldest daughter this morning because very unfortunately, at only 18 years of age, she's dealt with a lot of friends who have lost their parents this year. And there's been a lot of death and sadness and loss. And of course, they're coming up to a time where they're getting ready to graduate. And there's a lot of awareness of the fact that there's parents that won't be there, and they should be, right? And she was feeling like not knowing what to say, or not knowing how to be when someone else was feeling emotional, and that, for fear of, if they get upset, then I'm going to get upset and then I'm going to cry. And I said, sometimes we just have to allow ourselves to feel and let it flow. And rather than stifle our emotions or say, oh, don't cry, it's okay, minimize something, or just, wanting it to change so that we can feel better, so that we don't feel awkward, And this is something very specific in learning how to hold space for others. but also empathy, accessing that empathy within us. Allow yourself to feel that. And even if it's, and again, that's a big loss, and that's a very serious, very significant thing of absolute heartbreak. But where's the gift in the opportunity for learning, growing, healing, expanding? And this is, what we're moving through here on this fool's journey is, one of the ways that we can perhaps honor those moving through that type of loss is by really holding on to the blessing of the lesson that person, that family, that circumstance brings into our awareness about the preciousness of life, about why it's so important for us to speak with love and compassion and share how we feel and communicate, right? This is, again, bringing us full circle into the energies on offer this week when it comes to being compelled to have nurturing communication with others, with ourselves. That I honor that person by remembering the things that often come up when there is a loss or it brings people together through grief or loss of any kind. That we say, oh, we should do this more often. And, I hate to be meeting you under these circumstances, but we really gotta ... And then oftentimes we enter back into our busy lives. It's out of sight, it's out of mind, and it just doesn't happen. And it doesn't mean that it's because we don't genuinely care or love or feel the way that we feel, but there is this tendency for us to wash out, to gloss over things that are uncomfortable, things that are visceral and painful and difficult. And as we're moving through week after week and bringing our collective energy to the table, and we're seeing messages that are reflecting to us the macro, the micro, the world stage, and our little worlds, and everything in between, what are we learning through all of that? What is it coming up to show us? So the Three of Swords comes in here with this very important message about, yes, be present, be here in this moment, and feel the feels, feel it to heal it, allow it to flow. And there's definitely a nod here to water, to the element of water, to cleansing, to clearing. I'm going to bring that in here now, actually. Let's bring in the water element of flow. I'm going to seal in our messages this week. Refreshing, cleansing, clearing. And actually, it's a good point to say, because I know busy weekend and lots going on. This could be, you may be catching up here in the Sharecast, or if you're watching this on my YouTube channel or another place, over on my Sharecast, I did share this weekend a special ritual that came forward in the New Moon Empowerment Pack reading. I shared an excerpt of that where I was bringing through a ritual from Forever Conscious that you could do with the new moon, but also I was suggesting that under the energies of this past weekend, I didn't mention this today because there was so much else going on, the absolutely amazing solar storms and geomagnetic energy that we've been moving through all weekend, where so many places in the world were treated to a spectacle. Unfortunately, I wasn't, so I'm just saying we could not see the northern lights here because of cloud coverage, and still we are under clouds today. But that being said, those of you who did get a glimpse of it or saw the pictures and such, there is a series of messages that I shared on the Sharecast, so you're welcome to swipe back or to go visit again the Empowerment Sharecast, because I share there a little ritual you can do that can be done anytime between now and the 14th. I'm recording this on the 12th. It's ideal to do it on the 14th, but let me rephrase that. There is no perfect right or wrong. You can do it anytime. So if you stumble upon this message any other time, it still applies. But the energies are most potent through the 14th, okay? And it was a way of utilizing the moon, the sun, to charge your water crystals, adding essential oils and flowers with your intentions to cleanse and clear your aura, your space, and make this infused tonic that you could then put into a spray bottle or cleanse with, that is infused with all these high vibrational energies. So feeling that energy coming in here with this water element of flow. So if you did not get a chance to catch that on the Sharecast and you would like to see it, let me know. If you're not already over here, check the link here or in my bio, reach out, and I will just get you right on in there. It's really, I know it's another app, but if you haven't checked it out yet, it's free. It's fun. Come on over, get your personal card pull for this week. So Guys, thank you so much. It is time. My mother has arrived. My husband is out there feverishly preparing. I'm so grateful for him. I'm so lucky that he's such a culinary artiste, because I am not so much, but I am happy to happy to sample and help clean up and prepare. So I'm going to go do that. Once again, thank you all for being here. If you take these messages in throughout the week and you're just hearing this at the end of the week, again, if you would like a personal card pull, feel free at any time to reach out. I do those in the nooks and the crannies as I can. Another busy week. My son has a field trip this week. I'm going to be chaperoning. We're going to Philadelphia to a museum on Tuesday. I actually have an early yoga class this week on Monday. So again, depending on when you're hearing this, it may have already passed, but you might expect an off-cycle chariot chat tomorrow if the spirit moves me. So thank you guys so much again for being here. Sending you all much love and many blessings. Have a wonderful week.